Hello and welcome back to the one, the only Welsh Watch podcast. I'm your host Ben Thomas and I'm joined by the usual idiots, Lee.
Hello everyone.
Tom.
Hi.
Ben.
Hello.
And Jack.
Hello everyone.
Just a special mention before we start. Obviously, there's some heartbreaking news about Sol Bamba in the recent week. He was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin lymphoma, which is a form of cancer. And from everyone at the Welsh Watch, we hope he has a speedy recovery. And obviously, he's a big battler on the pitch and off the pitch. He seems like one of the best as well. So, hope everything goes well. But let's just get on to this episode. On to the Welsh Watch now. And today, we're going to be focusing on two players. First of all, Sheffield United's Ethan Ampadu as he performed very well against Newcastle United in a 1-0 win. He was man of the match on the night, and his stats were pretty impressive, if you ask me. 75 passes, 88 pass accuracy, 2 key passes, 7 out of 9 accurate long balls, 3 tackles won, 4 interceptions, 4 clearances, 6 out of 7 aerials won, 11 out of 13 duels won. Right, Ben, I'm going to ask you about this. Ethan Ampatu's got to go straight into the team, surely.
Yeah, we've touched on him before. I mean, he's just another one of those players who will be one of the first in the team sheet. And I know it was their first win of the season for Sheffield United, but not only that, it's their first clean sheet. That'll be something that will really get them going now. And because he's although he's been playing in that defensive midfield role, he's a big defensive play, and so a clean sheet will really get them going now. So yeah, for me, he's a no-brainer. He'll be. We've already kind of said before. He'll be in there. He'll be in the squad. He'll be in the starting lineup.
Jack, obviously he's on loan from Chelsea. Is there anything you think his game needs improving on? Because Chelsea, it's been an ongoing saga over the past couple of years. He keeps going on loan to clubs, like he went over to Germany. He's back in the country now. Do you think there's any part of his game he needs to improve to then get to that next step to then perform at the top levels of Chelsea?
At the moment, I think his performance is impeccable. He is a standout player on the pitch. So I really think going into the Euros, if he can prove himself worthy in the team, and Chelsea can see that, and obviously maybe after the Euros, he could see himself when he goes back to Chelsea, that maybe he could see himself in the spot in the team. But at the moment, obviously Sheffield on a bad run, but if he can keep his form up, and as long as he keeps his personal performance good, yeah, like Ben said, he's definitely going to have a spot in the team. But it's just we want to keep his form. He doesn't want to go into the Euros with poor form, to be honest. So, yeah, the better form he has, better for us, really.
Obviously, we've seen Ethan Ampadu playing centre-back and CDM for Wales. Do you think that versatility in his game is key going into the Euros? Tom, what do you think?
Yeah, obviously that versatility is massive because if we decide to go in with 3 at the back, then obviously he could play as potentially a middle centre-back in that 3 or whatever and bring the ball out a little bit as well. And if we go with 4 at the back, then he'd most likely probably be in one of the 2 holding midfield roles or whatever. But yeah, he's massive because obviously if we're going for a game or whatever and we're behind them and need to throw people forward late on, then you potentially take off one of the centre-backs, drop him back in and put somebody else in midfield and just go for it a bit more. So yeah, I think his versatility is going to be massive and it's a big help to the squad to have someone that can play in that many positions.
I definitely agree with you, and he's first on the plane in my eyes. But Lee, if you're looking at those stats, I mean, they're just mind-blowing, aren't they? If you were Frank Lampard now, I know you wouldn't want to be being a Tottenham Hotspur fan, but if you were Frank Lampard, what would you do with Ethan Ampadu? Would you send him out on loan? Because obviously he's only a young player. Would you give him more experience at another club, or do you just throw him in at the highest end? And he has played for Chelsea. He's shown that he can do it.
It's a tough one, and I think he will be a future Chelsea player. But I think right now he needs the game time. And you look at Chelsea's midfield, yes, Ethan Ampadu's quality, but do you see him getting past N'Golo Kante at this current time? I don't think so. So I think if he can find a club, whether that's on loan or even transferred away from Chelsea, and nail down his position, he should be flying high. So yeah. But if he can get another loan move or stay at Sheffield United and then come back to Chelsea, I think he'll be the future of Chelsea's midfield or defence.
Do you agree with that, Ben?
Yeah, I agree with that. I just think that it's really difficult for him to come into that Chelsea team now because Kante obviously is still there, and I think it's very likely that Chelsea will bring in Declan Rice, whether that's this summer or the next. I think he's like main transfer target, but I'd love to see him play at Chelsea.
Well, it's obvious he's going to have a massive future in the Welsh squad and maybe at Chelsea. We'll move on to the next one. And Tom and Lee, this is a big one for you two. Obviously, being Tottenham Hotspur fans, Gareth Bale. Eric Lamela was being picked over him in their 1-1 draw against Fulham the other night. What is going on? Tom, you can start with this because I know you are the biggest fan of Eric Lamela in this whole podcast.
Oh,
What do you think?
Well, for a start, Eric Lamela is awful. And that game, I don't want to talk about it. It's just painful. But yeah, Gareth, obviously he had a bit of an injury problem, but he's been misused ever since he came back last summer, in my eyes. Obviously, I'd have given him a start at Marine at the weekend in the Cup to build up his fitness. And then yesterday, it got to the point where it was ridiculous because we had an extra change left and you've got him sat on the bench and Mourinho just didn't bring him on. What harm would it have done to have brought him on and given him 5-10 minutes? You got Moussa Sissoko just plodding around in midfield. And let's be honest, I love Sissoko, but he doesn't exactly have much footballing ability about him. Like, bring on Bale and he can change a game like that.
Right, Lee, when that transfer was first announced, we were all excited. Obviously, we thought Gareth Bale would be coming back into the Premier League, getting all that game time. Do you think Gareth Bale's transfer was the most anticlimactic of the whole transfer window?
Well, I hate to admit it, but yes. We all expected him when he was to get fit again to go straight into the starting 11. Don't even get past Eric Lamela these days. And I don't really understand why. I know he's had fitness issues, but he's been back now for a couple of weeks. And Lamela, he's just come back from injury and he got to play before Bale did. It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. And like we've seen a few months ago, he came on against Brighton, scored the winning goal. That's what Spurs needed yesterday. He's a 4-time Champions League winner. I don't understand. And for a Spurs fan and a Wales supporter, that's a big concern.
Can we stop about Eric Lamela, please?
We will stop talking just to save you from the pain, Tom. Don't you worry. Ben, is this damaging for the Euros without the lack of game time? Obviously, he wasn't having that at Real Madrid anyway, but we thought there would be more game time going into the next campaign. What do you think?
That's the thing, right? I think I wouldn't actually call it anticlimactic from a personal point because I thought we'd be getting more game time, and I expected him to be getting goals because we all know how good he is, but like he's nearly 32 now. I'd say he's past his best. It's not rude to say that, but I still think he'll still be our main man at the Euros. He'll still get us goals. I can guarantee it. But like, yeah, if he needs that bit more game time at Spurs, then he needs to really push in for it. He needs to show Mourinho why he needs to be starting because I'm sure there's a lot going back, backstage that we don't know about, let's say. But I just think I wasn't expecting him to come in and get like 10 plus goals for Spurs this season. He was going to be there to, boost numbers, get Kane and Son more into it. And they're doing well. Spurs having a good season. So it's more just about whether he can keep his fitness up, I'd say, because he's still our main man at the Euros. I guarantee it.
I mean, you say Spurs are having one hell of a season. Starting to dip a bit.
League final, they could actually win a trophy. They won't, but they could.
Well, that's a bold prediction. I'm not even going to go on about that. Jack, do you agree with what Ben said, that he's still our star man at the Euros? Obviously, there are a lot of people coming out of their shell and going into the players they are. Do you think he's still the main man? Do you reckon he can give us that 2016 Euros feel?
No, he's 100% still our main man. Let's be honest. Like, no one tops him. You say Gareth Bale, everyone knows. But will he do the same as he did in 2016? I can't see it happening. But he's still going to bring like magic to the game for us. And even if he is, like, of course he's going to be in a starting 11. But some games, if he's coming off a bench, we know he's going to make an impact. So, nah, he's 100% still the main man. But like Ben said, he's not in his prime like now. He's fallen off a little, but having not as much game time as Spurs is disappointing. Like, I wanted to see so much of Bale, but hopefully in the next half of the season, Mourinho puts him in, but we don't know. But yeah, as long as he keeps his fitness up and he's fit for the Euros, then that's fine by me, honestly.
I agree with you. I think he's the main man. I mean, he's the start man. Everyone around the world knows him. And that's not really the same with the rest of the squad. He's the main man that will take us all the way to the final and we will win the Euros. Right, on to the next one. This is the Future Focus segment. And today we are focusing all about 20-year-old Daniel Barden. He's Norwich's goalkeeper and he was brought into the team for Norwich in their 2-0 win over Coventry City in the third round of the FA Cup. He was named in the FA Cup team of the round by Who Scored on Twitter. He is also the youngest goalkeeper to keep a clean sheet for Norwich City since Declan Rudd versus Poulton in 2009. It's also the third time since 2013 that a Norwich keeper has made 7 saves or more and not conceded in a game. At 20 years old, obviously he's not going to go to the Euros. But Ben, let's be honest, with a keeper like that, it's only against Coventry and he has had only a few starts here and there, but he's shown his promise. Is this a player and a goalkeeper that fans can look to and think this might be our next Wayne Hennessy or so?
Yeah, definitely. If he's doing well. And the thing is, I think keepers has always been, we've always had Hennessy who's, he's a good keeper. He's not, he's never been known for being one of the best or anything, but he does the job for us. So it would be nice to have a keeper who's, seen as one of the growing stars, So I'd like to see him get more game time. I agree. I don't, he's not going to the Euros. He's not. We've kind of got our keepers ready now. But it's always promising. You like seeing these things about young Welsh players. So, yeah, I like it. I'd like to see more of it.
Do you think there will be any involvement over the next few years with the under 23 squads? What do you think, Jack? Do you reckon he'll be included in anything like that?
I mean, possibly. Like, if he's on form for Norwich, I don't see why not. That he shouldn't come into the under 23s. But yeah, he won't get chosen for the Euros now. We know that. But it's something for the fans to look out for, that we do have a keeper on his way and he has potential. So it's nice to back us up for maybe in further competition, say when Hennessy's had his day, hang up his boots. We have someone that we can fall back on in years and years to come. But yeah, definitely. If he's on form, if he's playing well, 100%.
Tom, I know you saw quite a few of his saves against Coventry City. What did you think of his performance? Do you reckon he's a talent for the future? Is it something to be excited for? Obviously, he did keep them in the game and it was a clean sheet.
Yeah, obviously he had a very solid game, but I think we do need to be careful about getting too excited. I mean, he's played 4 games, I think, for Norwich. One in the Championship, one in the FA Cup and one in the League Cup. So it's Coventry. He's playing against Coventry. We need to remember that and not get too excited about it. But yeah, it is exciting to have a keeper coming through, as Ben and Jack have said, for potential for the future.
Do you agree with what Tom said, Lee?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's quite refreshing to see a goalkeeper come up through the ranks. We've talked about loads of younger players in the attacking roles, but it's good to see a goalkeeper come up to hopefully replace Hennessy in the future. My only slight concern is that I know he's young and being 20 years old, but you feel like if he's going to be a top star, he would have already broken through at a club right now, I think, personally. So I think maybe a move away potentially so he can secure his place as a number 1 goalkeeper would help. But we'll see in the next few years. He's still got a long career ahead of him.
like you say, he's a young talent, and for all we know, this might be the next big thing. And it is refreshing to see a goalkeeper come through in our ranks. Obviously, it's normally the big boys in like the midfield, the strikers that come through. So it's refreshing to see that. Let's move on to the transfer talk. I know this is all your favourites for January. So let's talk. Reece Norrington-Davis. He secured a loan move to Stoke. And we were speaking about Rabbi Matondo moving to Stoke, and he joins all the Welsh players at Stoke. He joined Matondo, Chester, Allen, Fox, Vokes, Davis. I mean, if Cardiff City keep declining, Stoke might have to be my number one team. I mean, Ben, let's be honest. This is going to give us a massive boost going into Euros where they're all playing together. They're already gelling, and some of these players are already in the midfield. I mean, you've got Matondo, Allen, and now Reece Norrington-Davis. This has to be a boost going into the Euros and future campaigns that they're playing together.
Yeah, I've already pre-ordered my Norrington-Davis Stoke shirt now. It should be here in the next few days. But yeah, it's great. Get the Welsh players. It's just that, get that chemistry, FIFA chemistry. Get them all gelling together. It just beats more. Gigs will love that. He'll love that. There are so many of them playing together at the same time, and it's just a boost. I like it, and it's a good move for Norrington-Davis as well because from what I've seen of him, he's going to be great. I like him. Fullback, it's not something we have in terms of he's more that left-sided, but he can play both. So I like his versatility. I like his energy. So I'm excited about him.
I'm looking forward to seeing that Stoke top on the next episode of the Welsh Watch. So if you want to look forward to that, join back next week.
Oh, well, you're actually putting pressure on me to get one there.
Oh, of course, man. You did say it. Tom, what do you think about the move? Is it a successful move? Obviously, he was playing already, but this move, what do you think?
Yeah, it's a difficult one because it's like Luton to Stoke. It's not that much of a step up. I think they're around the similar sort of position in the league table. Luton at 14th and Stoke at 8th. So it's a little bit of a step up, but it's not like a massive step up. It's more of a sideways move than a upwards move. But yeah, I mean, I think the best thing about it is the fact that he's going to be in and around other members of the squad, as you mentioned there, Joe Allen, Sam Vokes, Adam Davies. So yeah, just working on that rapport with the other players, and it's only going to strengthen their recognition of each other's play.
Jack, what do you think? Is he a guarantee to go to the plane to the Euros? What do you think?
I don't think he's guaranteed a spot quite yet, but as the other boys have said, if they're all gelling together in Stoke, and like you see connections when they're on the pitch, then 100% maybe he should have a chance on the team sheet. But like Tom was saying, that it might not be a step up from Luton, but I think Stoke have a lot more history, and just I feel like them as a club, they might make more out of him maybe, but I'm not too sure. With the links with all the other Welsh players, I think he could make more of him. But to go into the Euros, I don't think he has a spot just yet, but it could change. Who knows?
I actually disagree with you there, Tom. I think it's actually a big step up. You look at the Luton Town squad. Obviously, they're quite close in the leagues, but you see the Luton Town squad. You look at the Stoke squad. The Stoke squad compared to the Luton squad is full of internationals. I think it's a big move for him, and obviously the difference in managers. You've got Michael O'Neill at Stoke, obviously a big manager, and he's well known around the world. So I think it's a good move, personally, and I think it's a strengthening boost towards the Euros. What do you think, Leeds? Are you a Stoke fan now? Are you ordering the shirt like Ben?
I might have to, yeah. I think it's a really good move, to be honest. I agree with you, Ben. Just the fact he's around a load of Welsh players now, I think he'll settle in really well, and that's only going to help his performance. And I don't see him starting, but I do see him going to the Euros, and I think, like you said, he's a fullback on the left side. I think he could push Ben Davis to play even better, or if Wales are going to play with a back three and Davis slots in as a centre back, you got a very good left wing back. So yeah, very good move for me, and I think it is a step up, just because of how I think Stoke are a better team. They've got Premier League history, so if they can I know they're only 8th, but if they can get back up into the Premier League, who knows?
Well, there you are, Stoke. You've got 5 new fans. I'm sure you'll be making a lot of money through shirt purchases in the next couple of days. But let's move on to the next one. And this is quite a big move. Tyler Roberts of Leeds. He's been linked to several Championship clubs. Boys, most notably, he's been linked to Cardiff City. Jack, you're a Cardiff fan. What do you think? Is it a good move? Do you think Cardiff should be putting the trigger on him?
Like, don't get me wrong, if he comes to Cardiff, that would be a massive move. That would be such an improvement for Cardiff, honestly. But I really don't see it happening. Like, I don't see him coming to Cardiff. Personally, as much as I'd love it to be, but he does have a lot of quality to him. So coming to Cardiff would be absolutely huge. Like, we thought Wilson was a big pull, but I think I'd be even better. So, like, if it happens, that's class. But I don't know. I don't think it will, honestly.
Very controversial there. Ben, I saw you giving it a little smirk. What do you think about his comment that it might be a bigger pull than Harry Wilson?
I have to be honest, I've only really seen him with Wales. Like, I haven't seen him play for Leeds much. So I can only really base it off me watching the Wales games and him coming on as a sub effectively. But from what I've seen of him, I think he's without sounding rude, I'd say he's more Cardiff, that mid-championship level than Leeds at the moment. So I'd say Leeds doing okay at the moment. And they kind of got their team sorted. So I don't see him playing much for Leeds. So championship move is what I'd give him. And there were a lot of clubs coming in for him. And so I agree with Jack. I don't see him coming to Cardiff, if being honest. I'd like it. I'd like to see it. But I'd say that's not even really a position that we really need strengthening, to be honest. Like, our midfield's okay, given everything. So I'd like to see it just purely for the player, get more Welsh internationals in the squad. But I don't see him at Cardiff, but a move to the Championship is what he needs, I think.
I mean, I think it'd be a big improvement on what we've got. You've already got, the Cardiff City. I'm not saying I'm a Cardiff fan. You don't know. Well, you probably would from last week. But I think it's a big improvement on what Cardiff City have got already. I mean, you see Junior Hoylett. I mean, he's aging quicker than my nan, obviously. But obviously, you've got Mark Harris as well, who's possibly extending his stay at Cardiff City, which is another big bit of transfer news for Wales. But I think it's a big move for Tyler Roberts. And Marcelo Bielsa, the Leeds United manager, has said he wouldn't stand in his way. Do you think that's a big boost for the Euros, Tom? Do you think he's on the plane already, or is he on the fringes of the squad?
I mean, for me, he's definitely probably in the squad already. But I think, no disrespect to you boys, but I think for Roberts, in the run-up to the Euros, he needs to go to a team up in the top sort of level of the Championship, not where you lot are. So I know Bournemouth are another team that he's been linked with, and I think that'd be a good place for him to go to potentially either replace or get some game time with a man that I believe we're going to be talking about in a minute.
There we are. Exactly. That brings me on to our next player, David Brooks. Tyler Roberts could be replacing David Brooks at Bournemouth. David Brooks has been linked with a £16.2 million move to Villa. And Villa are apparently, don't shoot the messenger, ready to pull the trigger. What do you think, Lee? Is that a big move for David Brooks? Obviously, he's getting a lot of game time at Bournemouth already. Do you think he'll get game time at Villa? Obviously, they've got a lot of wide players with Traore, Trezeguet.
Yeah, I think
it's
a great move. Villa this season, they've had some really good results and some young players coming through. I think if he does go to Villa, I do think he does start. Like, you've seen the form he is at Bournemouth. I think he's a guaranteed starter. I think he just gives you something different compared to Traore at Villa or Trezeguet. And I think he's kind of similar to Jack Grealish in a way. So I think if they do pull the trigger and he does sign and they can integrate those two players in that team, I think Villa have some play on their hands.
Ben, do you think it helps us that he's playing with these bigger players? I mean, at Bournemouth, he's playing with Dominic Solanke. I'm not throwing any shade to the man, but he's no Jack Grealish. Obviously, Jack Grealish has been one of the best players in the Premier League, in my opinion, this season. Do you think that gives us a big positivity boost if he does get this move to Villa?
Yeah, I think it does. I think he would start for them. I think it'd be, he'd have to break in a little bit, but I think he's good enough. I think he's had a really good season so far. I've seen him play. He's got Player of the Month, I believe, December possibly, I believe it was, and he's having a good season. So a move to the Premier League, I think it's where he belongs. And I think Villa's at this sort of level at the moment. I think it'd be good for him to be playing in tougher games, in more difficult to be at and stuff like that. So yeah, a move to Villa would be really good for him. I think that's where he should be.
Tom, do you agree with what Ben says? Because at Bournemouth at the moment, he's obviously getting a lot of game time. He starts week in, week out. Normally gets the full 90. At Villa, obviously they've got a lot better, wider players than Bournemouth. Do you think that slight edge, is it a positive move for him, or do you reckon he should be getting more game time at Bournemouth to secure his Euros place?
I think it would be a good move for him because obviously the competition for places is going to push him to be a better player. And I think it's a similar situation to back in October when Joe Rodon made the deadline day move to Tottenham. It's a step up in challenge. It's a step up in ability. And I think obviously we've already seen that Rodon's improved since his move to White Hart Lane. And yeah, I think we would also see David Brooks thrive going to Villa Park and being back in the Premier League.
Jack, do you think it's I don't know what you're doing, but do you think it's a good move for David Brooks?
Personally, I don't think it is. Like, I'm in the middle because he's doing so well with Bournemouth, and Bournemouth, the form that they're on, like, they have a chance of going up. So to go up with them to the Premier League and then secure the spot as a Premier League team, I think might be better for him because there's a lot of spots. Like, I don't know if he'll fit into the team for Villa, especially straight away anyway, because there's a lot of players who are possibly a higher standard than him at the moment. But looking forward for the Euros, I think him being in the Premier League team and, like Tom said, pushing to like better himself to get into the team will benefit us coming to the Euros, and he'll be playing with better players, harder players to verse against as well. So moving to the Euros, should he go, should he not? I'm in the middle at the moment. Right now, I think he should stay Bournemouth, personally.
I agree with you that I'm 50-50. I think he should be getting that game time, and that's not guaranteed at Villa. And obviously he's playing really well at Bournemouth. At Bournemouth, he's already got his start. He's already got the start of the Euros, in my opinion. I mean, he's on the plane, in the squad possibly to start. I don't know. I don't know if it's a guaranteed move, but definitely keep your eye on this one because I think David Brooks may be on the move this transfer window. Now, let's get on to all of our favourite part, but not our most successful, the predictions. Let's go. So on to the predictions now, and we're going to start with the Bluebirds. Cardiff City host league leaders Norwich. Last time out, Cardiff City lost in the FA Cup and got knocked out 1-0 with a Lyle Taylor Nottingham Forest goal. Somehow Neil Harris is still in a job. Don't ask me. I'm not on the board. If I was, he would not be there. Norwich are obviously top of the league. They advanced into the fourth round of the FA Cup by beating Coventry 2-0. And they've won 8 out of the last 9 games. Their last game was under a month ago between the two clubs. The Canaries beat the Bluebirds 2-0 at Carrow Road. And to be honest, it's an absolute battering. And Cardiff, this is a big game for Cardiff because Cardiff haven't lost 4 consecutive championship games since January 2018. So lose it, and there's a record going on here that you don't want. I'll start with the predictions. I'm going to say it'll be a 2-0. I think it'll repeat how it went last time. I think it'll be basically a carbon copy of the last game. And I'm just going to go straight with the 2-0. What do you think, Ben?
I'm going to be optimistic, and I'm just going to say 1-1, just hoping that we can get something out of it.
I'd happily take that. What do you think, Jack?
I'm going to have to go 3-0 Norwich. And if Neil Harris is still there after the loss, there's no way we're winning. But do you think he'll still be there after this game? It's a question for you.
Yes, I do. Because Norwich are top of the league and the board won't sack him after losing top of the league. If they haven't sacked him after losing to bottom of the league. I highly doubt they'll sack him after losing to the top of the league. They're just back like that. If we beat Norwich, you cut your hair. Anyway, Tom, what do you think?
As the song says, Cardiff get battered everywhere they go. 4-1 Norwich. 4-1.
Oh, we're not travelling far. It's at home, Tom. Lee, what do you think?
I'm going to snap with Jack and say 3-0 to Norwich.
Oh, it's not looking good for the Bluebirds this weekend. Right, on to the next. Swansea are playing Barnsley away. Swansea advanced to the fourth round of the FA Cup to face the team who actually beat Cardiff in Nottingham Forest. A comfortable 2-0 win against Stevenage. We all expected it, and I'm pretty sure one of us must have predicted that, I'm sure. Barnsley also advanced after beating Tranmere 2-0 in the FA Cup. Swansea are second, Barnsley are ninth. Swansea having one of the best seasons they've had in a past time. A month ago, the two teams actually met at the Liberty Stadium, and Swansea took all 3 points in a 2-0 win. Barnsley are now winless in their last 15 against the Swans. They've drawn 7, lost 8, and their last win against Swansea was a 3-2 win in November 1983. Exactly. For me, I believe that horrible rut of form for Barnsley against Swansea, it will continue for a number of years. Personally, I'm going to go with a 2-1. I think I'll go with 2-1 Swansea. I think it'll be a close game because obviously Barnsley aren't a pushover team, but I think Swansea will get the win. What do you think, Ben?
I don't know actually. I'm gonna go 2-2. I don't know why. Again, I think 2-2.
Yeah, I can see a draw on the cards, to be fair. Jack, what do you think?
I'm probably going to go with 2-0. 2-0 Swansea.
Tom, what do you think?
3-2 Swansea.
Exciting game. What do you think, Lee?
I think it'll be an easy victory for Swansea. Looking at their stats, they don't concede many, and Barnsley, they conceded more than they've scored. So 3-0 again to Swansea.
I'm pretty sure Swansea would take any of those results we just predicted. On to Newport County. They host Salford at home on the weekend. Newport were knocked out of the FA Cup on the weekend, unfortunately, to Brighton on penalties. It was 1-0 in the 90th minute to Brighton, and it looked to be heartbreaking until the 95th minute equaliser for Newport sent them to extra time and then penalties. Unfortunately, lost 4-3, but they can be proud of the performance. And I know a few of you predicted 1-1 in that game, but rookie errors, we didn't realise it was going to extra time and then penalties. We thought it was going back to the Amex. Anyway, Newport sits second in the league on 38 points, only 1 point behind Carlisle with 1 game in hand. Salford sit 5th in the league as well, so it's going to be a very close game. Newport are winless in the last 4 league games. Their last game against Salford was only a month ago in a 1-1 draw away. Salford last beat Scunthorpe 1-0 away and have had a rollercoaster season with 10 wins, 6 draws, 6 losses. For me, I think the draw machines of League 2 in Newport County are going to continue with the draws, and I think it'll be a 1-1 scrappy. It'll be a scrappy-do game. What do you think, Ben?
Difficult game for both sides, but I think it'll be 1-0 to Newport.
Jack, do you think both teams are going to fight it out like scrappy-do? What do you think?
I think they'll fight it out, but I think I'm going to have to agree with Ben on 1-0 Newport. Yeah.
What do you think, Tom?
It's a tough one. Is it at Newport or is it up in Manchester?
It's at Newport.
It's at Rodney
In
Parade.
Newport.
1-1.
Lee?
I'm going to be boring and agree with Ben and Jack and say 1-0.
Yeah, that would not surprise me at all. But anyway, that's the end of our predictions. And that is all we've got time for on a Welsh Watch podcast. Thank you very much for watching this weekend. I've been your host, Ben Thomas. I've been joined with Ben.
Thank you.
Jack.
Thank you, everyone.
Tom.
Cheers, guys.
And Lee.
See you next week.
Ben, try not to fall off your chair this time. If you want to any of our socials, I'm sure it'll be down in the description. If you want to check out any of our other podcasts, they'll be there as well. But thank you very much for watching this week, and goodbye.